Hello everyone. For today's video, I thought I'd do something that I haven't done in a while, and that is a rambling video and kind of a camera lens brushing video. So I've realized a few days ago I was looking back over my recent videos, and I realized that most of them are shot from the perspective of straight down onto something that I am working on or showing you, an object that I'm working with, which is fine, and those are a great kind of video, but I hadn't shot a video like this with the camera facing towards me in a long time. So I figured that it was high time that I did that. So I'm going to get a brush and kind of slowly brush the lens of the camera while I talk. Okay. So as I am doing this, I'm realizing that my lens actually is quite dusty. So brushing it like this is something that it definitely needs. So I have a little bit planned out to ramble about. So this won't be completely off the cuff, but I just did it very quickly, so I haven't planned out a whole text that I'm going to talk about. And I think that's how any good rambling video should be. As you probably know if you've watched my last two videos, I have a new bike. And I bought that bike because as I have been progressing in my exercises, specifically walking around the neighborhood, to increase my general overall health and well-being, I was to a point where walking for 2 or 3 miles very vigorously was nice, but it wasn't as hard as it used to be, which is a good thing. That means I'm progressing. So I decided that I would try to start jogging and running. So the jogging was fine. I started mixing that in with my walking, and that went well, so I decided that I should start running just a little bit, not at any kind of long distance at all, just to start someplace. Well, I did that a few times, and it went well, and then I pushed myself really hard and probably did full-on actual honest-to-goodness running for a few minutes, and my back did not like that at all. So the next few days I worked on trying to get my back happy again, and I went to the doctor, and he basically said, with the way my spine is, because I'm missing some of the padding between my vertebrae, that running is not a good thing to do. So that's when I seriously started looking into bikes. Because to continue my goal of losing weight, I need to be able to consistently elevate my heart rate. And the interesting thing is that the more I get in shape, the harder it is to get my heart rate up. So I had to find something that was not running, but that would accomplish that goal. And biking is the next natural step. When you think of exercising, it's one of the top ones that most people think of. So I had an old bike, full-size kind of hybrid bike, but it was quite old and had been sitting out for many years and was not something that I was interested in trying to bring back. So I started looking at new bikes. And I was particularly interested in folding bikes because I like the way they are convenient when you're not using them. They get out of the way. And I like the fact that I can put them in the trunk of my car and take them somewhere without having a heavy bike rack or another piece of equipment that is needed to haul the bikes around. So I started looking and found the Citizen Bike Company, which is a maker of fairly inexpensive folding bikes, all different sizes. And they have one that is specifically for commuting and for riding around the city. And I had toyed with commuting to work several years ago, before I was not nearly in as good a shape as I am now, although I would not consider myself in great shape, but I am getting there. So I thought, well, it would be nice to have at least the option that if I ever needed to ride to work on my bike, I could. And the thing that makes this bike good for that is that it is geared low, which means that the lower gears are larger and are more suited for traveling up hills without killing you. So I ordered the bike, and as you can see in one of my videos, I unpacked it, and the next day I started riding around the neighborhood with it. And it is a great bike. I really enjoy it. But the surprising thing was that I could ride it and not absolutely wear myself out. So we live on a large neighborhood that has, as part of it, a large circle in the middle. So I was able to ride around the outside perimeter of that circle 6 times and then head back home, which is 6 miles. And that is how long the distance is between my house and where I work. And there's dust coming up off of this brush. Can you see that? And that's not good. I probably should not have put that on my lens. I'll have to check that out later. Anyway, sorry. So I was very encouraged by the fact that I could ride my bike the distance that I needed to ride it and still be in fairly good shape at the end. I mean, it was hard and my heart was pounding, and I definitely got good exercise, but I didn't have to take a half hour to recover from it. So it was after that, which was I guess about a week ago, that I started seriously thinking about the fact that I could actually commute to work on my bike. So the things working in my favor are the fact that I only live about 6 miles from my work, and that's good. And that where I live does not have a huge, tremendous amount of hills. The things that we consider hills would not be anything compared to some other cities. Probably more like just bumps. But to us, they're the natural rolling of the terrain, but for the most part, it's fairly flat around here, which is good. So I sat down and started researching commuting websites for people who travel to work on their bikes. And there's some really good advice there about safety and other things, but one of the ideas was to stop thinking like a car. And that's what I had been doing prior to that. I had been planning out my route on my bike the same route that I would travel with my car, which was mostly large roads and fast speeds. But once I started rethinking it and plotting on Google Maps a new route, I found out that I'm able to get nearly all the way to my work traveling through neighborhoods and crossing over the larger streets, not traveling down them, which is what you want to do. So that was another excellent reason to be able to commute to work. So now I have my route planned, and I've actually ridden part of it, the first part of it, on my bike. I go through one of the larger neighborhoods, and coming out of that neighborhood, it crosses a railroad track. And immediately after the railroad track, it climbs probably the biggest hill, large bump, that I will encounter on my journey to work. So I knew that if I could get up that, I would have it pretty much made. So on the 4th, July 4th, I figured there wouldn't be too much traffic. So I rode my bike down and made it up the hill. I had to use the lowest gears on my bike, but I did it and got to the top and then came back. So that was my kind of proof of concept that if I could get that far, I undoubtedly could get the rest of the way. So then I started to practically think about commuting to work, because it's one thing to get yourself to work. It's another thing to have to function after you get there. So that's when I realized that I would have to carry things with me on my bike. Not just get myself there, but get my change of clothing, get my iPad, any other books that I might need or be using. That all had to come with me, and I had to carry it. And the rack that I had on the back of my bike was very fashionable, looked very nice, but it was not very big. So over last weekend, to the local bike store, had my bike looked at, just kind of gave it a tune-up since it's brand new, and I knew it had been shipped in a box, and I didn't know what kind of dropping and shaking had been happening. So while I was there getting into tune-up, I also got a new, larger rack to go on the back of it. So after I got my bike home from the bike shop with the new rack on it, I found many different ways to hook up the bags that I had purchased along with my bike. Many ways for them to go onto that rack. But what I'm really looking for is some saddlebags that will go on either side of the rack and hang down on either side of my rear tire. So I am still in the research stage for that, because that will give me enough storage space for my change of clothes and probably my lunch and any books that I need to take with me, as well as my computer. So that raised one of the final challenges to me commuting to work, and that is, do I have the fitness level to carry me and my bike and all of my stuff to work? And that is the big question. So right now, I am going to be in the process of using the current bags that I have strapped to the rack, and I'm going to be filling them with weights or heavy books or something, so that I can increase my ability to travel with a heavier bike, basically. Once I know I can do that successfully for 6 miles and not completely wear myself out, then I'll know that I'm ready to actually commute to work. So that is my next phase, which I'm very happy about this. When I bought the bike, commuting was kind of like something I may do way down the road. It was not something that I was thinking about doing within the next few months or even weeks. But now that it looks to be within striking distance, I'm anxious to actually do it, because that will help me incorporate my training and my weight loss and my increase in fitness into my everyday life. And it will be practical. It will be useful in helping me get somewhere and do something. And that is a high motivating factor for me to be able to do that. I am not a person that will just walk on a treadmill for hours and hours. I need to be out walking in a neighborhood, and even better than that, doing something, walking somewhere. So I don't know that I'll commute every day. I'll have to see how that goes, but at least once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. But I'd like to get it done before cooler weather sets in, like winter. I'd like to be able to do it a few times before then. But it may actually go better in the winter if it's not as hot. So we'll have to see. So that has been my new and exciting adventure the last few weeks. The one thing that is a distinct possibility is that once I get into doing the commuting and wearing a helmet and exerting myself during the day or during the morning and in the evening, that I may have to get rid of my long hair that I have because it will just be too hot. But I don't know yet. But I could see that that might be a problem with keeping myself cool during my commute. Because my goal is to be able to come into work and within 15 minutes be well into the process of getting into my change of clothes and getting myself cleaned up to start the work day. So we'll have to see. But I will keep you guys updated if that's what you want. Let me know in the comments if this is a good ASMR rambling video or not. I hope that the brushing of the camera lens was effective. I switched to a smaller brush, you'll see, that is not nearly as dusty, so I feel much better about brushing my lens with it. So I am also toying around with the idea of joining everybody else in the ASMR community and starting a Patreon account. But I want to make sure that if I do it, it's something that is in addition to what I do on this channel, because what I do on this channel will not change. It will always stay the same. So I want to offer something that is new and expanded from this channel. So I have thought about doing videos on my Patreon account where I show my face and talk to you directly and do more role plays where I am actually interacting with you and you can see my face. So let me know what you think about that in the comments, if that's something that is something you would be interested in. But it's not something I'm going to start right away, maybe in November sometime, because if I do a Patreon account, I will be making more videos. I won't be splitting my videos between this channel and my Patreon account. So I will be increasing my workload. And right now that is not possible until sometime in November, maybe December. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And you can go back and look at my bike unpacking video if you want to see the kind of bike I got. And then my most recent video, besides this one, is all the lovely packaging that came with my bike. And that made some great ASMR sounds. So, thus endeth the ramble. I'll see you guys later. Bye.